Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is harmony and not dissension. There was an opportunity of talking about Swami Vivekananda's Chicago addresses in the last talk, and it started with the Sisters and Brothers of America. And in between, the function, the Parliament of Religion started on 9/11, that means 11th September of 1893. And it ended on 27th of that month. So in that way, in between there was an opportunity of Swami Vivekananda to give talks about Hinduism and as well as give a broad idea how all religions can survive together. So he ended with this word that means harmony and not dissension. I shall come to that, the exact sentence that he had uttered. So the point is that religions are always fighting. During his time also it was fighting. And in those days, especially the days when Swami Vivekananda was there, it was not that extensively understood or seen. The media was not that much important, or they did not have that supremacy. That means nowadays what happens here within a few seconds actually world can know if it is that serious. So in that way, during his time, probably because of the communications were not that very good, so people did not know what is happening in the other parts of the world. Probably this fighting between the religions were continuously going on. But in our time, things are really different. That means we are always bombarded with all news and information and all those things. And definitely amongst them, the most disturbing is this intolerance. The two major roadblocks to religious unity and harmony are intolerance and dogmatism. That is still actually working. That means people are still intolerant, people are still dogmatic. But the point is this, that it is not necessary to be intolerant and dogmatic, because there is an opportunity of knowing each other very quickly and very thoroughly also because of the advancement of the communication. But it is not happening. So we need to know what is the reason that we are still intolerant, why we are still dogmatic, and what are the ways. In what way actually we can get out of this problem. And luckily, these talks that Swami Vivekananda gave in the Parliament of Religion, we find very clear discussion about that. This is I showed you that the small booklet is there. It is very cheap. That means less than $1, even a few cents if you take the exact price. But you will see that in that book, the thoughtful ideas of what actually is bothering us, where actually we are really intolerant, what are the points of religion which bothers us, and also what are the points where we can really, if we focus on certain points on which if we focus, we shall become more tolerant and understandable. We can understand each other. And finally, what we need to do ourselves. Those three aspects we need to know. So it is said that we assume that anyone who does not belong to a religion is a heretic or a heathen. Narrowness passes for orthodoxy. Formality of conviction so easily degenerates into religious intolerance, blind and bloodthirsty. Ancient superstition is often sanctified as revealed truth. So these are the problems where actually we become inimical to each other. Then the savageness of religious wars show how in the name of God people can hate and kill one another without punishment and without regret. So those who are really up to violence and all those things, they have the satisfaction that we are doing everything which is really should not be done in the name of religion, and they go unpunished. That is the point. So it is good to know what are the why there are so many religions first. Sometimes we feel that my religion is good, so if everybody follows this religion, so naturally things will be all right. But it cannot happen. That is the point. And why it doesn't happen, that also we need to know. So let us see what are the why there are so many religions. First is that different spiritual forces are working for the good of mankind. Spiritual forces, you know, are like natural forces. That means nature has got different forces. We know that the gravity is there, light is there, then other many heat is there. So all these natural phenomena are always there. But they have their own rules and regulations which scientists have discovered, and we utilize them for our benefit. In the same way, there are spiritual laws. Unfortunately, these spiritual laws cannot be perceived by any mechanism. That means you cannot really set up an experiment by which you can discover the spiritual laws. But they are really working within ourselves. So they are discovered by spiritual persons. That means they know that if this law is followed, then things will be good, and one can have spiritual realization. All those things actually fall into the category of spiritual laws, if you call it. As we cannot destroy any force in nature, so spiritual forces also cannot be destroyed. So you cannot really destroy the spiritual laws, just the way we do not have any power to destroy, say, gravity or the laws of heat or laws of light. We cannot really destroy. It is not possible because they are part of the nature. Different faiths are necessary to suit different temperaments. For example, emotional, then rational, introspective, active, abstract, some like concrete symbols. So in that way, there are different ways by which actually we proceed towards spiritual truth. So according to our temperament, we have to have something to practice. So in that way, these paths are really are many. We are fortunate that we can choose what we prefer. In that way, actually, it is very good for us that there are so many things. That means we can choose, pick according to our liking, according to our own satisfaction. And in that way, you know that if we follow certain path, certain practices, we shall be able to reach our goal. So in that way, different practices and different paths are laid down. Greater the number of religions, greater the possibility of satisfying spiritual hunger. Everybody has innate spiritual hunger. That means we like to be, the freedom is the hunger of the soul that is expressed unknowingly through different activities of us, of all beings actually. So naturally, if we have many ways to express that, we can realize that freedom, then it is good for us. In one place, Swami Vivekananda said that there should be, the number of religions should be as many persons, people are there in this world. So you can imagine there are 6 billion people, so there should be 6 billion religions, then actually it will be very helpful because everybody will have his own religion and a very satisfactory religion, and in that way one will be able to reach the goal. Now the reason is, the example, it is explained in this way. As different restaurants satisfy different taste, people get some nourishment like protein, fat, carbohydrate, vitamins or minerals, etc. and also taste. That means, you know, we have some, our palate is somebody like salty things, somebody what is called spicy things, somebody sweet things. In that way we can really satisfy. Also there are arrangements of cooking. That means all the tastes are there, but the mixture of the taste actually gives the final taste of a cuisine. So in the same way actually religions have come out, or practices have come out, and that satisfies us. Now, variety is the sign of life. Religions are not contradictory but complementary. That's the point. It is not really fighting with each other. They actually satisfy each individuals, and in that way it is helping us. If we think that somebody who is raised in a place which is much remote to us, and her ideas and environments are so different, that if he comes and follows our religion, will he be successful? It will not be possible. As his diet, what he used to eat there, will not, and also is put into our diet, it will not be successful. That means he will feel very much uncomfortable. So in the same way, religion is also should be different for each person. So variety is the sign of life. Religions are not contradictory but complementary. God is like a wish-fulfilling gem. Everyone finds his own ideal of truth, goodness and beauty in him. So things have come down in this way, and a little bit thoughtful study of the religions will show this, why the varieties are there. Now, different religions, because according to circumstances, situation, time, and necessity of the time, in that way, different religions have got different primary goals. Though the ultimate goal is self-realization or reaching the God, if you can call it, but definitely certain aspects of each religion is quite evident. So let us see. Different religions emphasize different aspects of the supreme reality. Islam actually emphasizes brotherhood, no social distinction. Before God, all are equal. Equality is the theme, or the main theme of Islam. It is said, Swami Vivekananda has given an example, that means suppose a prisoner is caught and brought to what is called to a Muslim king. So he is a prisoner, so naturally he practices differently, but he converts himself into the religion of Islam. The king actually will not hesitate to eat him on the same plate. That is the beauty of Islam. There is no segregation from the point of view of caste and what is called position, education, and whatever you can say in Islam. So this equality of in the eye of God is the main theme of Islam. That is why Islam brotherhood actually works very well. Though we see in a negative sense, but definitely it can be used, or it is being used, or it is evident that brotherhood actually is the main theme of Islam. Christianity. In Christianity, purification of the mind and be ready for coming of God. Purity of the mind. Swami Vivekananda has said that if that teaching of Jesus Christ is only that those who are pure in heart, they will see God. This is a teaching of Jesus Christ. And if this teaching actually survives, the whole religion, whole spirituality actually can be evolved from that. If everything dies, that means all the teachings, or suppose there is a tsunami or earthquake and whatever it may be, everything perishes. All the books are gone, all the churches or the temples are gone. But one teaching of Jesus Christ remains alive. From that actually the whole religion can be revived. All spirituality can be revived. That means pure souls will see God. In Judaism, God's power and justice. Jews bore with immense patience the ordeals and sufferings without losing faith in God's power and justice. So power and justice is the main theme of Judaism. You see this lot of rules and regulations and all those things are there in their lives. So in that way they feel that they will be in the good books of God. In Buddhism, renunciation and service, love and compassion. Buddha taught that is in that way all Buddhists follow that. That means renunciation. In Buddhism, everyone is supposed to spend a few years of his life, a few days at least in their lives, in the life of a renunciate. That means they become monk. Householders also become monk. That means probably they take a vow of renunciation, maybe for a month or for a year or something like that. In that way, they emphasize this renunciation, and it is beneficial for them. And service, of course, definitely. Buddhist monks are supposed to get food from the householders. So they do not have their own arrangements for food. Buddha himself used to go every day in the early morning, bake food from the village, and then he used to eat, and then actually he used to teach. That was the custom, and it is still the custom of in Buddhism. You will find that especially in Burma or in Thailand, such as present Buddhists still bake food and then actually they teach. So this service, that means serving others, householders actually take care of them. And love and compassion for all beings, that is also very true. Buddha himself actually has shown in his life how love and compassion need to be followed. It is said that once one person was taking one goat to the butcher's house, that means was dragging that goat. And Buddha saw that, and as you know, the goat was not really interested in going, so it was being dragged, probably at the premonition what is coming in the future. So Buddha understood and called that man and said that, why you are taking this goat? Where you are taking? He said that, well, I want to sell this one, and the butcher will kill it, and I shall get some money, and he will also earn money. Then he said to that man that, you better release this goat and take me. I am a human being, my cost is more, so if you sell me, you will get more money. So in that way actually he offered himself. Of course it did not work, the man understood the point, and in that way actually it was resolved. So the point is that renunciation and service, love and compassion is the main theme of Buddhism. And in Hinduism, realization of God within and without is the last point of spirituality. That means to realize that we are one with God, or everything is God, according to our scriptures, according to our Vedas, according to the Upanishads. That is the supreme teaching of Hinduism. So in this way actually we see that emphasis according to the different religion, circumstances, and also the time when they are taught, that has come down, we need to understand that. That is the point. If somebody thinks that in Islam actually the realization of God within and without should be the samambanam, that will be perfectly all right, but it may not be work. It may not work in the lower level. Lower level, that means in the level of the ordinary human being. That is the point. So first all those steps have to be followed, and ultimately we shall reach the same goal. Now different religions have different pictures of the same lotus taken from different angles of water taken from a lake in different vessels. There are the different examples that has been given. That means Sri Krishna has given a very good example, that or the example of a picture. Nowadays we take pictures, a lot of pictures, so naturally same object can be shown from different angles by taking different pictures, but the object remains the same. So religions are like that. That means they take the picture of the same reality from different angles. Now let us see, though these are the areas where actually you can see that there are differences. Now let us see where do all religions agree also. So if you know that these are the points of agreement, then if we emphasize those points of agreement, then actually what is called this dissension will be much less. The aim of all religions is to realize God. Inner experience is the same, expressed differently by time and place. Ultimately, we see that all religions have got this goal, realization of God. That means realization of true self, if you call it, or realization of the true nature, realization of the truth. All those things are mean the same thing, spoken in a different way. So the main aim of our religion is to realize God. Inner experience is the same expressed differently by time and place. As Swami Vivekananda said, quote, all religions from the lowest fetish worship, that means magical object or something like that. That means we have, in Buddhism, Lord Buddha's one tooth somewhere found, and that is being worshipped. So this is a sort of fetish worship. That means there is nothing spiritual in a piece of tooth. So in the same way, anything associated with a religious person or religious place or object is worshipped. So he is saying all religions from the lowest fetish worship to the contemplation of the absolute are so many attempts of human soul to grasp and realize the infinite. So these are the ways. How the ways have come? The ways have come because somebody actually was successful on concentrating mind on those objects and had the highest realization. So those things actually try to emulate, or if we call it roughly, we imitate. So we feel that if we do the way that person has done, so we shall also be able to reach that goal. So in that way, these practices have come down. Now, beliefs which are common in all religions are like this: existence of a soul which does not die with the destruction of the body. So all religions will say that there is some entity within ourselves which actually cannot be destroyed. So you see that there is a concept of heaven. What is the concept of heaven? There will be some entity within ourselves after death which will remain forever. So this is what is called, this is the concept of heaven. So the point is this: some entity is there, if we call it soul, which does not die with the destruction of the body. We always see in front of us, people are dying, we also understand we shall die. So there should be, that means we always try to figure out, is there anything that will not die within ourselves? And that has been found out by this spiritual personages. Yes, there is a soul which will not die. God in reality is above nature and without beginning or end also. God is permanent. That means He existed in the historical past, and He is existing, and we believe that He will exist in the future also. So existence of this entity, which we call God, is what is called, is always there. That means He was there, He is there, and He will be there. All religions believe in the original perfection of the soul. That is also one interesting thing. We always feel that we are imperfect. We have to be perfect by practicing something. That lack of sense, that sense of imperfection is quite common. Otherwise, nobody will do spiritual practice. If we don't feel that we are imperfect, we shall not do spiritual. If we think that we are perfect, there is nothing needs to be done, then there is no necessity of a religion. But after some time, after many experiences of life, we see that, well, yes, there is something which is lacking within ourselves. We need to do something to get rid of them. And that is actually a religion. Religion provides that. Then they also believe that by their own actions, men made themselves imperfect also. So that is also karma, as you know. Why you are imperfect? We see that we did something. We always doing something. Naturally, all the things that we do, if we think in retrospect, we see that, well, certain thing actually, if we had not done poorly, it would have been better. So sometimes we feel like that. So the point is that why you are imperfect? The imperfection is because we did something for which actually we are not perfect. So naturally, that is also common in all religion. They also believe, all religions believe that souls will regain perfection through knowing God. That means if we reach the goal, when we come to God, actually, we shall be perfect. We shall be just like God. In Hinduism, actually, it is said that you will become God. That means you can become God. You are God. In that way also Swami Vivekananda has said, only thing that you do not know. That is the point. So there is a possibility that we can become perfect through knowing God by doing spiritual practices. Saints and holy persons are objects of worship and veneration in all religions. So in all religions we see certain personalities. There are saints in Christianity, there are what is called, in Islam there are, especially in Sufi sect, there are Darwish and other people who have done spiritual practice and become perfect. And in Hinduism there are categories of persons who have become spiritually perfect. So they become object of veneration. Why we venerate them? Because without them actually we shall be able to figure out how to reach the goal. So by respecting them, by following them, actually we become perfect. That is why they become object of veneration. All claim to show the way out of the prison, that means of this house of the world. So all religions claim that we follow, and ultimately you become perfect, you will reach God, you will become God. In that way, all religions show that way and claim. That is the most important thing, they claim. The difference is that some claim that by following that other religion, you will not become perfect. Those who do not know about the other religion, they will say. But if they study the other religion, they will see that in that religion also, there are ways, that means their teachings also, as good as their own religion. All religions exhort their followers to practice spiritual disciplines, faith, prayer, self-control, and contemplation. What are the practices? So they are quite common. That means control of the mind, and they have faith in God, or faith in oneself, if you call it, and prayer and meditation and all those different paths are there by which actually one can reach the goal. And human mind can at certain moments transcend sense limitations and mental reasoning and come face to face with truth. That is actually spiritual experiences. We cannot explain the experiences of the spiritual practitioners. How actually Jesus Christ has seen God, we say, well, somebody actually went into samadhi. So all those experiences are inexplicable. Without experiencing them, actually we cannot really believe them. But we have to believe in them because of their character, their life, and also what they have done. If we practice, we find good result also. So in that way, human mind can at certain moments transcend sense limitations, mental reasoning, and come face to face with truth. That is there in all religions. So let me elaborate a little bit about the disagreement, because it is the main point where actually we shall find the disagreement. Ritual, mythology, and philosophy are the three main important constituents of well-organized religion. If you study the religion, say 5 religions are very important, and there are other religions also that has come, and there are also there are big followings are there. So if you analyze them, you will see that these three aspects are there in all major religions: rituals, mythology, and philosophy. What is mythology? It is concretization of philosophy through legendary lives and supernatural beings. So mythology actually is a sort of stories of the ancient or the practitioners where in ancient times they have practiced, and what they did and in what way they did, and what actually they obtained. All those things are said. So in our scripture, especially in Hinduism, I can say there are many sages. And those sages actually had different types of realization. They have those realizations, and they are concretized. So through mythology actually, legends and all those things, they are explained. Now rituals are more specific practice with water, bells, music, flowers, lights, images, etc. You see that we do here a little bit of according to Hinduism. In other religions also you will find there are certain rituals that are there, especially in Roman Catholic religion. You will find in certain sects of Buddhism also there are this type of practices. They are quite inherent in their religion, these rituals. What are rituals? Rituals are these things which used to be practiced by the spiritual personalities who had the highest realization. So they have been concretized. So these are the steps. They said that they used to ring bell or they used to show lights, and in that way actually it has been concretized. And those who want to follow, they get the result or they get the satisfaction that they are following the path which has been laid down by the what is called predecessors. In that way, the rituals have come down to us. Now the point is that no agreement is possible with respect to philosophy, mythology, and ritual. You cannot really say that these rituals only will bring self-realization. You cannot really teach to others. It is not possible. Even in rituals, there, especially in Hinduism, rituals are so, what is called, so many rituals are there, and so many varieties of rituals are there. It is very difficult to know them and also practice them, and there will always be what is called differences in rituals. In North India, certain practices are there. South India, it is practices there. In Eastern India, certain rituals are practiced. In that way, rituals are always various. Only thing that we have to understand that according to circumstances, they have come. So ritual is condemned by Protestant Christianity. That you know, in Christianity, Protestants do not like rituals. And also in Islam. Islam actually is very much against. That means they are in prayer only. They will not. They will never say that you have to have some light or bell or such and things for the practice of religion. But you will find that little bit ritual is that they will have to wash your feet or hand and such other things, or you have to sit down or get up or kneel down. If you call them rituals, they are there. Little bit touch of ritual, if you can say, they are there. But in general, with materials, no ritual is there in Islam. And Protestants also do not like rituals. Hinduism, Mahayana Buddhism, Roman Catholic Christianity recognizes important, especially for beginners, those who want to cultivate spirituality. And for them, actually, these type of what is called practices are very helpful. The point is that because of the association. Association means, you know, when if you say the prayers and meditation are the only way by which actually you can reach God, you say mind always is distracted. So these rituals actually has got the ability to control the mind. So when you are ringing the bell, the mind is there. And when you are showing the light, mind is in the light. So in that way, these little things actually culminate into the what is called practice of meditation. Hinduism, as I told you, mythology has produced great art, music, literature, then architecture. Some great saints have been produced by religions rich in ritual and mythology. You will see all the great saints, that means spiritual persons, spiritual giants, if we call it, have come out of the religion which has got the practice of rituals. In Hinduism, you see Sri Ramakrishna. He was a ritualistic priest. That means he was engaged as a priest to do rituals in a temple. So in that way, you will find that in all religions which have spiritual giants, that means whom actually everybody will respect as a great spiritual personalities, they have come, most of them have come from the ritualistic religion. In Protestant, actually, we will not find too many saints as we will find saints in what is called Roman Catholics. Because in Roman Catholicism, there is rituals. It is an observation. It is not that it is 10% true. Definitely there are spiritual giants in all religions, but if you say statistically, if you call it in today's language, you'll find more spiritual persons have come out from the ritualistic religions. Now, ritual, mythology and philosophy are necessary for religious growth. But as one goes deeper in search of God, they become inessential. The point is that, as it has been said that it is good to be born in a church but not to die in it, the point is that initial things, there are stages of development in spirituality. It is not that you are born and you get the self-realization. It doesn't happen in that way. So you have to grow. So you know the goal, and in what way to reach the goal, you also need to know. So in that way, if it is said, or if you find that these steps are actually helpful, then actually if you are sincere, you will not bother to practice them. So by practicing them, actually, when we gain strength in mind, those things become inessential. But other things, actually, we have to grab them, actually we can get rid of them. So ritual, mythology, philosophy are necessary for religious growth. But as one goes deeper in search of God, they become inessential. Mythology, history versus superstition. In mythology, you will find it is a mixture of two things as something very unbelievable. In that way, mythology is constructed. But still, it deepens the faith also. Rituals, holy verses, what is called something which is we do not understand. That means nonsense. Sometimes you feel why actually that person is uttering these, murmuring these things which we do not understand. So it will, to a newcomer, those who do not have any understanding or what is called knowledge, they will feel it is useless things that a person is doing. So ritual, holy name, The quarrel is about non-essentials. In religion, what is non-essential? We quarrel about that because the persons who actually fight in the name of religion are not that conversed in their own religion. What to say about other religion? If we know the other religion, actually there will be many points we shall feel that they are common with us. So there should not be any, there is difficult to what is called have any enmity to that religion. That is the point. So ignorance is the point. But though many people actually do not know about other religion, even their own religion, and they actually fight. The quarrel is about non-essentials, but these are necessary for a follower of a particular religion until that person is firmly grounded in religious experience. That is the point. That means for a particular religion, these three things, that means ritual, mythology and philosophy, they are important. But when one is established in the practice, they actually become inessential. That is the point. So these are the things that we need to know how actually things are different. Where actually there is concurrence, where there is difference. Now, attempts have been made to improve one religion, have been made to impose one religion over other by force, bribery, persuasion, sword, or combination of these. We, especially in India, we have experienced these things a lot. That means how the conversion actually went on. Of course, you know, in Buddha's time, Buddha was a great, what is called, reformer. Not only reformer, he was a missionary also. He used to convert. That means, but his method was persuasion. So that is understandable. If you like this religion and you feel comfortable, you can convert yourself to that religion. That is perfectly all right. But if it is by what is called force, bribery, and what is called sword, or such violent things, or unacceptable things, then it is really wrong. That is the point. It will not last, not only last, it will, what is called, just like a boomerang as it is called, it will come back to the persons who are converting. It will happen like this. It is happening like this. All the what is called conflict that is there, it is like this. Now, there are intellectual methods which are also being tried, but no better success, because religion is not a product of intellect. It is a product of experience of God by prophets and seers. Sometimes, you know, in India, especially I know in Bengal, many intellectuals during the time of British rule got converted into Christianity. One was Michael Madhusudan Dutt. You will find his reference in Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you will find. So he got converted. The reason is he was a very intelligent person. He was a barrister of law, that means a lawyer. So you cannot imagine that a person of his caliber will not understand his own religion and got converted. So he said, why actually you changed your religion? He said, because of the stomach. Because if I remain Hindu, actually I do not get a good job. And you see that there was a what is called young woman who used to come here. She said that in our country, it was like if you do not get the name, Christian name, actually you will not get a job, because the influence of Christianity is so much. So these things actually sometimes work, practical things. That means you have to survive, so what to do? So naturally you get converted into other religion, and in that way you survive. But that is not the way it should work. And intellectual religion withers away quickly. It can stimulate the mind for a while. That is the point. There were many what is called good converted Christians also in India that we have seen, but that is their own choice. That is the point. It is not that they were forced to get into the new religion. Now, the Swami Vivekananda said, in fact, religious harmony already exists. It only needs to be discovered. As I told you, there are common points. If we really focus on those common points of agreement, then actually there will be harmony. That is, there will be no difficulty. So that is the point that he wants to say. It only needs to be discovered. We do not see it because our overemphasis in rituals, mythology, and philosophy. It is like universal brotherhood. It is already existing. But we do not see it because of our racial, national prejudices. The point is that when politics enters into religion, actually politics, they want quick gain. It is necessary under certain circumstances, but definitely if it is prolonged, that it becomes very, the situation becomes very difficult. So these racial and national prejudices, that means, let me repeat, it is like universal brotherhood. It is already existing, but we do not see it because of our racial and national prejudices. In the same way, universal religion is the form of God. Consciousness runs through all faiths, whether primitive, ethical, or mystical. That means basic knowledge or basic instinct is always within ourselves, but it is dormant. That is the point. So Lord Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that I am the thread that runs to the pulse as in a necklace. That means in everybody this dormant spirituality is there. Since ancient times and even now also by Islam, Krishna and Swami Vivekananda has said that innate divinity is always lying within ourselves. So it is the point, it is God consciousness. Let us encourage everyone to dive deep in the mysteries of his or her own religion and discover himself the truth of religion. So in that way, if somebody is following certain religion, let us encourage you go deeper and deeper into your practice and discover your truth. Then actually the purpose is done. So in that way it will happen. Now the thing is that we have to recognize the fact that religions are complementary and not competitive. So for us, intellectually actually, if we understand that they will exist. As Swami Vivekananda has said, it is not possible to destroy any religion because that has come out because of the innate necessity of a person. It may be here or it may be 1,000 miles away. So its existence is important. Saints and mystics have flourished in all religions. It is absurd to imagine that God is solely or even chiefly concerned with religion. That means religion is a small part of God's business. God does not allow everybody to come to Him. That is that we see. That means if you see in this way, that the whole all the creation, if you call it, so full of so many beings. From the primitive, what is called earthworm, to the human being, if you call it. So everybody is not really bothered about what is called this religion. God doesn't probably like it also. He wants to see the show, as it is called. So in that way it is happening. So that is not it should not be the primary concern. So if you think that it is the primary concern, then actually it is wrong. There are things should run. That is also one aspect of the thinking. It is better to discard the idea toleration, which carries with it sense of superiority. Swami Vivekananda emphasized that. That means in India we accept all religion, and India has shown also in the past that it has accepted. In India we will find that all religions have proliferated. Very recent example is our Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama came for shelter, and he was given shelter, and he was given the full liberty to follow his religion. Though sometimes there was some conflict in the what is called in world politics, but still he was allowed to follow his own religion, to preach his religion, and he had his large following all over the world. So this is the thing. That means this acceptance of all religion is very important. Let us think of other religions in terms of respect and positive acceptance. These are the ways actually that we can be peaceful. A believer of true religion feels equally at home in a mosque, a church, a synagogue, or a temple. For us, actually, we know that especially in Hinduism, we go to all places. In Sikhs also we go to all places of what is called temple, they will go, and definitely all the religious places that Hindus have. It is common for Hindus and Sikhs also. Sikhs also go there. And we also go to the temples of Buddhists. That means the temple which is there in Bodh. We also go there and pay respect. And in that way, we exchange our respect in our temples. The believer of religion feels equally at home in mosque, a church and synagogue or a temple. He respects all the prophets of past, salutes all God-like persons who are working at present for the welfare of humanity, and will also show reverence to the future prophet. This is Swami Vivekananda said that we believe in our respect all the past prophets, that means religious people, and also respect all religious people of the present, and we shall respect those who will come in future. Now we must not destroy other faiths and superimpose other beliefs upon others. As Swami Vivekananda has said, take a man where he stands to give him a lift. That means one should encourage. If somebody is religious in his own faith, we have to encourage him to practice his own religion. That is the point. Because if he comes to other religion, actually he will be lost. He will not find interest in that, and his religious growth will be stunned. Now, simple things like preachers and ministers of religion also can propagate harmony of religions by showing respect to other religions, by quoting selected passages of scriptures of other religions. As I told you that Swami Vivekananda has said that the pure soul will see God, that is a quote from the Bible. So in that way, in our religion also there are quote, if some Christian preacher or other teachers of other religion take the example of quoting or showing that there are truths in other religion, then it will be easy, because ordinary people are not really very conversant. So if the leaders actually follow that, then naturally ordinary people will also follow that. The idea of exclusiveness creates suspicion. By claiming superiority of our own religion, we end up asserting the superiority of our own interpretation. Dr. Radhakrishnan was a great philosopher. He is almost like a philosopher king. Nowadays kings are dead, presidents are the rulers. So in that way he was the ruler of our country in a sense, because he was the president of India. So he was a philosopher actually. His first what is called in the biodata, first thing that will be written that he was a great philosopher of the contemporary world. He is respected in that way, though he became president of India also. So he has said, we start saying, that means how he highlights our folly. So he is saying in this way, we start saying that Christianity is the best of all religions. Next we say Protestantism is the best form of Christianity. Then the High Church is the true Protestant Church. And finally, our own interpretation of the High Church is the best interpretation of Christian religion. So this is the folly of our understanding of religion that this great philosopher wanted to say. That means what we follow is greatest. That is the point. Now let us see how actually we can improve ourselves. Dramatic improvement in transportation and communication has turned the world into a global village. We are in an excellent position to compare notes with each other. Everyone has access to right knowledge and apparently opportunity to learn about others. So in the faithful hours, it is the duty of religion to act as an harbinger of peace and harmony. So now, after saying this thing, we can understand that yes, it is good to tolerate or accept other religion, but in our own day-to-day life, how actually we can do that? There's a beautiful sermon given by Lord Buddha, how it can be done. So I'd like to conclude my talk by shortly saying how Buddha actually taught that. He said that there are 6 states of harmony and peace. This is called Kausambya Sutta. Kausambya was a town which is said to be one of the 6 important or very prosperous towns in ancient India, at least during the time of Lord Buddha. It is in North India. The place is now a historical place, but the location is still known. So he has said, thoughts of goodwill sincerely harbored. That means some sort of goodwill we all possess, but that is limited to near and dear ones. That is the point. We only think good of our children or of our parents or maybe a few friends or a few colleagues. In that way our goodwill ends. That is the point. So he is saying we have to extend that. Some sort of goodwill we all possess, but that is limited to near and dear ones, or groups with which we are connected. And most of the things that we have ill wills to opponents. So you see that all the great spiritual teachers like Christ loved his enemies, Buddha loved his enemies. So those who are actually criticized, they actually embraced them. And in case of Chaitanya, he also loved. That means he was hurt, physically hurt by some ruffians. He actually embraced them. And in that way they won over. So in the same way, actually, if we extend our love and goodwill to everybody, then it will, for our purposes, that means we shall harbor this harmony and unity. Then it has been said there are prayers also, sarve bhavantu sukhina. That means in that way, if we pray within ourselves, that means let all be happy. That we do. That means it is actually Lord Buddha's teaching. That means it is called Metta Sutta. But we accept it as our what is called scriptural truth. So in that way, Sarve Sundara, that means it has got its effect on our mind. That we will prepare our own mind to think good of others. So in that way it will happen. Then words are the carriers of thoughts. Crafting word will not do. There should be heart behind words. Words of Christ, Ramakrishna, Gandhi, though not sweet, from literal point of view, they carry the thoughts and influence the listeners. So the point is that only lip service, as we call. Yes, we tolerate you, we like you, you are doing very good things, all those things we see, but there is no heart behind that. That means we do not put our what is called emotion or sincerity in those words. So he is saying, Lord Buddha is saying, that if we say these good things, there should be heart behind it, not only just lip service will not do. Then goodwill towards fellow beings. Polite words will not do. That means we have to see them as their own. That is also important. Then to share with others unselfishness, trusteeship. We have to faith in others. Sharing with others your higher life. That means anything that you have in our life which are noble, so share with others. Just don't keep limited to your own use. That is the point. If you have discovered something which is very noble and good, just share with others irrespective of their religion. That is the point. Then spontaneously strive for removing all evil with the noble and saving creed of love. Try to say, that means resist no evil. There are stories that has come out. That means always try to love everything. So he is saying, resist no evil. There is a story, as you know, that Sri Ramakrishna gave the example. That means that Brahmachari. That means, and there was a snake. Snake was an enemy. So he actually harbored. At the beginning, actually, he harbored what is called the snake. Harbored love for everybody, but he was suffered. But the point is that we have to be practical also. So in that way, if we really harbor love for everybody, then actually those who are around us, ourselves, other than our near and dear ones, then actually the peace and harmony will be there. So in this way we see, theoretically there are ways by which actually we can understand it is necessary to have harmony amongst religion, and there are points also which needs to be highlighted, and at the same time there are ways by practicing which we become a little harbinger of this peace and harmony. So let me conclude by quoting the last sentence of Swami Vivekananda's what is called Addresses of Parliament of Religion. He says, holiness, purity and charity are not the exclusive possessions of any church in the world, and that every system has produced men and women of most exalted character. In the face of this evidence, if anybody dreams of the exclusive survival of his own religion and the destruction of others, I pity him from the bottom of my heart and point out to him that upon the banner of every religion will soon be written, in spite of resistance, quote, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension. So with this, Swami Vivekananda concluded his presentations in Parliament of Religion.